Okay, so according to the US Congress, a BYD Dolphin is a spy device that threatens America. But an American branded Tesla, which collects the exact same GPS camera and personal data, that one's okay. But according to Alyssa Slotkin, who I showed on my channel before, is proposing to ban all Canadians from driving Chinese cars into the United States because she says they're roving data collectors spying on Americans. And again, I have to ask, what the hell is Tesla doing right now? But what I found actually funny is that this is being discussed on the r/tourism hell subreddit. And some of the comments from our fellow Canadians who are not tied to the GTL community, some of the comments are actually pretty funny. And let me read out a few of them to you right now. This one's from Old Camera Guy 8311. I fail to see the issue. Mike71586 says, they think this is a real threat. Buck Holio says, another incentive as far as I'm concerned. And my favorite comment from Family Conflict 92, right? It's a feature, not a bug. I'm showing these comments to everyone because I just want everybody to know that it's not just the GTL community that's pissed off in the United States. What's happening right now? It's a clear strong-arm tactic, and it's also a double standard as well. Because in 2023, it was reported by former Tesla employees that sensitive images and data of customers was being shared and available. So how's this any different than what the US government is claiming right now? So we're going to talk about all of this in this video, and I'm going to start off with a report from Global News.
Chinese EVs are rolling into Canadian ports and reopening a debate about security.
All we're doing is just making this worse for us down the road.
The first of 50,000 Chinese EVs have arrived at a reduced tariff rate. In exchange, China lowered its punishing levies on Canadian canola and other products. It's all part of Ottawa's rapprochement with Beijing.
In this world, yes, it's the second largest economy, but you need to have a dialogue with China.
Now, let me reiterate my stance when it comes to China. I'm not a pro-China person. I'm not discounting any of the horrible things that they've done in the past. And I'm also not saying that they're the good guys either. But we're in a situation right now where our next door neighbor has been telling Canada what to do for the past, how many decades? Longer than I was born. And they basically told Canada to put the 100% EV tariffs on China cars. Why? Because they want us to. And we did it. Why? I guess because we're friends, or we were friends. But like I said, we're not friends anymore. And this quote always comes to my mind. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, I'm not saying we drop our guard when it comes to China. Definitely don't do that. But we have to start making decisions that's going to be right for Canada, not right for the United States.
A memo obtained by the Canadian press warns opening the auto market could amplify the presence of high-risk vendors. It says connected vehicles collect significant amounts of data on Canadians, which can have intelligence value. Ontario's premier, seeking to protect his province's auto sector, has slammed the deal.
I think I've been very clear how I feel about bringing in Chinese spy vehicles.
Okay, Mr. Ford, what about these companies that I just showed? You would be naive to think they're not sending data back to the United States. I'm just calling out the double standard on both sides of the border.
The memo also warns that under China's national security laws, the PRC could compel manufacturers to hand over information.
I could have sworn I heard something about this before. I mean, for another country. Let me think. Oh yeah, it's this. DHS demands Google surrender data on Canadians' activity, location over anti-ICE pose. Or how about this one? The DOJ is demanding Apple and Google hand over data on 100,000 car app users. I fail to understand how this is better than what they're claiming that China is going to do. I mean, it's pretty bold to say that China is going to do this, when our next door neighbor, they're doing this all in the open. But not only that, the beloved Tesla company, it doesn't seem like consumer data is protected at all. This is from the Reuters article, and I'll put the link to it in the description below. One ex-employee also said some recordings appear to have been made when cars were parked and turned off. Several years ago, Tesla would receive video recordings from its vehicles, even when they were off, if owners gave consent. It has since stopped doing so. We could see inside people's garages and their private properties, said the former employee. Let's say that Tesla customers had things in their garage that was distinctive. You know, people would just post those kind of things. It was a breach of privacy, to be honest, and I always joked I would never buy a Tesla after seeing how they treated some of these people, said one former employee. Another said, I'm bothered because people who buy the car, I don't think they know that their privacy is not respected. We could see them doing laundry and really intimate things. We could see their kids. So these are statements from former Tesla employees. You know, Tesla, the American company, the country that's trying to claim that China is going to be bad and they're going to share their data when they're doing it themselves. All I am trying to do here is to show the hypocritical statements that are coming from the United States. Oh yeah, also that Doug Ford guy as well.
The potential eyes and ears of the PRC.
This former intelligence officer testified before Parliament about the risks and warns Canada is sending mixed signals to consumers considering buying these cheaper alternatives.
I think there's been a bit of an underlying lack of talking about the issues surrounding this technology and how it could be used against Canadian interests.
In the United States, Democratic senators from Michigan, the heart of the U.S. auto industry, are leading a bipartisan effort to tighten a crackdown on Chinese EVs. If the U.S. were to ban Chinese connected vehicles from entry, the impact would also be felt here. Canadians driving those cars could be turned away at the border if they're classified as prohibited.
Now, to some Canadians, they would actually consider this a positive, like this guy here, when I showed you his comment already. He says it's a feature, not a bug. But we have to be real. There are going to be some people that are going to use this as a deterrent, and they're going to want to go to the United States, and they're going to avoid buying the Chinese cars. But I do want to talk about this proposed bill that the Michigan senator or congressperson, what's her name? Slotkin or something like that? I want to talk about this bill, and more specifically, point out the gaslighting that's happening right now. As always, I'll read out this whole article for anyone that's just listening or for the visually impaired. Canadians who buy vehicles made in China may not be able to drive them into the United States if a recently announced bill is passed, known as the Protecting America from Chinese Cars Act. Wow, very original. It would prevent Chinese connected vehicles from entering the US from Canada or Mexico. The bill is being put forward by US Senator Elisa Slotkin and Representative Haley Stevens. Both represent Michigan, and both are members of the Democratic Party. According to a release issued by Slotkin's office, the legislation is a significant step towards protecting our national security and the US auto industry. The Chinese auto industry is heavily subsidized by the Chinese Communist Party, allowing them to undercut competitors and quickly flood new markets. We've seen this process play out rapidly in Europe and South America. So, in other words, gave competition and made cars more affordable. Just saying. The release went on to say that Chinese vehicles have quickly gained roughly 15% market share in Mexico and referenced Canada's trade deal with China that will dramatically reduce tariffs on tens of thousands of Chinese vehicles. The threat of connected vehicles from China is now at both of our backyards, to the north and south. Well, to be fair, we do have a threat south of us right now, and it goes beyond these cars. In 2024, Canada slapped 100% tariffs on vehicles from China, mirroring a similar duty in the US, put in place under the Biden administration. In January 2026, a new Canadian trade deal with China included reducing tariffs on China-built electronic vehicles to 6.1%, as it was prior to the tariff hike. The current deal limits imports to 49,000 EVs, that is scheduled to increase to 70,000 EVs over the next 5 years, but more than half of them will be priced at under $35,000. While it's expected that most of the inexpensive EVs will come from companies that don't already have a dealer network in Canada, which will likely include BYD and Chery, the tariff hike also affected some automakers already here. Tesla sold 44,000 copies of its Model Y in Canada in 2023 from its factory in Shanghai, but switched to importing it from its facility in Germany. Wait, so you're telling me that there's going to be 44,000 Teslas in Canada that were made in China? And according to Slotkin's new bill, any car that is made in China can't go into the United States. So that would mean these Teslas, the 44,000, cannot go to the United States, right? I mean, I'm just being fair here. They're just saying that any cars that have ties to China cannot go into their country. Well, the 44,000 Teslas were made in Shanghai. Have to be fair, right? Polestar temporarily stopped importing its China-built Polestar 2 for 2026, but has now put the 2027 version back in the showroom, along with its parent company, Volvo. Polestar is owned by China-based Geely. The proposed Protecting China from Chinese Car Act states, vehicles today can collect and transmit massive amounts of data, geolocation of drivers, mapping of critical infrastructure, full motion video, and more. These connected vehicles are roving data collectors, sweeping up information that would be threatened to our national security if it were to fall in the hands of our adversaries. They are technically TikTok on wheels. The Act adds that connected vehicles could also be remotely accessed and tampered with, and that capacity in the hands of our adversaries presents a tremendous risk to our safety and security. Now, you know what's kind of funny is that this whole screenshot, they're talking about the Chinese cars, but the whole time I was reading it out, I was thinking Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, all the other US-based companies that are now a security and safety threat to us. Never mind the United States, I'm talking about us, the international community. Let me know in the comments below if you were thinking the same thing as well. Now, there's a breakdown of this bill, and I'm going to read it out to everyone. As a solution, the bill would do the following, as per wording. Prohibit connected vehicles from China and other adversarial nations from entering in the United States. So that must include those 44,000 Teslas, right? I mean, they were built in Shanghai, just saying. This includes connected vehicle manufacturers or designs in China, as well as vehicles manufactured by a Chinese company, or an entity in which Chinese companies have a greater stake than 15%. Oh man, my dyslexia really kicked in on that sentence. Greater than 15% stake. Establishes a process in which vehicle manufacturers can apply for a specific authorization to allow otherwise prohibited vehicles to enter the US. Specific authorizations only could be granted under strict conditions, with both transparency and congressional oversight. What the fuck? I don't even know what that means. Require US Customs and Border Protection to develop rules and procedures related to implementing these prohibitions, including a list of prohibited vehicles within 90 days of the bill enactment. Slotkin previously co-introduced the Connected Vehicle Security Act of 2026 with Bernie Moreno, a Republican senator in Ohio, which could prevent Chinese vehicles and their hardware and software from entering the US market at any stage, including manufacturing, importing, or sale. The bill was supported by several companies and organizations, including the United Auto Workers and the Teamsters, General Motors, Ford, Stellantis, Honda, and irons and steel producers. You forgot Doug Ford in there as well. That bill was introduced in Congress in April 2026 and has been referred to the Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation, but has not yet reached the Senate nor the House. So far, the new Protecting America from Chinese Car Act was only announced at the recent Mechanic Policy Conference, which brings together representatives from the industry and government to help determine Michigan's future, and does not appear to have progressed beyond that yet. Now, I want to read out some comments from the actual article from people who also don't agree with this. This one's from Edwin Widishin. Gee, sounds like they want to block everything that Google Maps and Tesla, and honestly, most of the new American cars do on a daily basis. Talk about rampant hypocrisy. Detroit is scared spitless of China's new tech, while they are still wallowing in gas, diesel, and EV indecisiveness. This next one is from Chris Harvey. Hey China, if you want my driving records and Google Map data, Waze routes, it's all yours. Rather have it go to them than go to the USA. Who's the real threat to our sovereignty? Now here's some more comments from the subreddit r/tourismhell. This one's from Blarges. A bill sponsored by 2 Democrats because their great and powerful country can't handle competition. Oh, sorry. I mean, they're worried about other countries gathering information about the US. Like their executive isn't just handing out all kinds of classified information to the highest bidders. Yes, I truly believe everything will go back to normal when the Democrats win all the midterms and they make America great again by making America first. Sarcasm. And this last comment from Brief Witness 3878, I think it's my favorite. Snowflakes, all of them. When their cars are monitoring us, it's a safety thing. When Chinese cars do, it's espionage. The champions of a competition economy and competition society don't want to compete. Cowards and snowflakes that no one wants to visit anymore anyway. This comment here, at least for me, it really shows the hypocrisy that's coming out of the United States. It's a safety thing when they're monitoring, but when others monitor, it's espionage. Talk about double standard. And it's not just in the auto industry, it's everywhere. I show these comments because I want to make sure that everybody in the GTL community knows that we're not alone on this. And people on other social media platforms or other methods are also feeling the same way as well. I personally enjoy reading these because it proves that we're not an echo chamber right now. This is the majority of the world in terms of how we feel about the United States. But one thing I do know, and going back to this comment here, you know you fucked up when people would rather have their data with China than the United States. To close off this video, I would like to thank our good friend of the channel, YUL Spotter, for taking this aerial photo of Quill Lake in Saskatchewan. He took this photo in 2018 on a WestJet flight from Calgary to Montreal. So thank you YUL Spotter for sending this over and sharing it with the community. Alright everyone, that's all I got for this video. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And also don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.